Ayan, hello again everyone and welcome to another video that we will be presenting to you as a supplemental in the implementation of our learning delivery modalities course 2 for teachers. So tonight we will be having another session and our discussion will be focused on module 4, lessons 1 and 2. And tonight I have here our guests. Ayan. Mag-on na kayo ng cameras ninyo, teachers, para makita namin kayo. Ayan. So tonight, we still have Teacher Pearl. Ayan. We have Teacher Angel, Teacher Richelle, and Teacher Jason. So sila yung 4 participants natin during the rollout. And uh, again, they will be joining us tonight for our discussion. And of course, we also have another guest. Our special guest for tonight is a master teacher whose life is very inspiring, and she is I consider her as one of my close friends since college because we have known each other since college. And without any further ado, before I will tell you more details about her, I will introduce her para makilala niyo siya. And also tonight, kasama natin si Sir Kirk. Ayan, medyo mahina lang yung internet connectivity niya, but ayan, struggling yung internet. Umuulan dito ngayon sa Digos, so medyo struggle yung ating connectivity. So again, let's go back to our guest for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our master teacher from Matanao National High School, Senior High School, si Teacher Juesa.
Hello.
Ayan.
Hi,
Hello,
everybody.
George. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening to
Oo.
everybody.
Salamat
Good evening
kaayo for
po.
coming tonight.
You're welcome, Robert.
As always. Ayan,
As always,
George,
abrupt.
we have here our teachers. We have Teacher Pearl from Hagunoy 1 District. Teacher Richelle from
Hi, Ma'am
Kiblawan
Pearl.
South District. Oo.
Hello
Teacher
po.
Angel from
Okay.
Santa Cruz South. And
Hello
Teacher
po.
Wow.
Jason from Matanao 2 District. Ayan.
Wow. So this
And
is
Teacher Juesa
diverse.
is from Matanao 1. Matanao 1, no?
Yeah.
Oo, kasi ako ang
Matanawan, but
mamali.
I'm from Matanao National High School. Although we are
Oo,
not
Matanao.
really belonging to a specific district,
Mm-mm,
but we
mm-mm.
are under Matanao 1.
Oo, under the care of Madam Susan Obenza. Ayan. So
Yes.
tonight, George, we will be discussing module 4 of LDM course
Yeah.
2. I think you can
Mm-mm.
actually share a lot of things about this because our discussion
Oh
tonight
my
will
God.
focus on will focus on the CPD. Oo, that we will be getting out from our course. Oo. After ng
Mm.
course na to, teachers will be able to gain receive CPD units. So please help me in discussing the contents of our CPD because I might be missing some important information which I might fail to discuss. So
Okay.
ayan, so start tayo ngayon with the CPD. I know that some of the teachers have already read this document since this was given to you ahead of time. Yung CPD natin, nandun yung, itong presentation na to is included in the kit. Oo, so sa supplementary materials for LDM course 2, module 4. So we will just discuss directly here sa CPD. Ano ba ang CPD? The continuing professional development refers to the process of tracking and documenting the skills, knowledge, and experience that you gain both formally and informally as you work beyond any initial training. So it's a record of what you experience, learn, and then apply. So that is why Sa LDM course 2 natin ngayon, this is considered as one of the continuing professional development in the department, because if you can remember in our DepEd order number 50 series of 2020, entitled, ayan, DepEd Professional Development Priorities for Teachers and School Leaders for School Year 2020-2023. These are the things that we need to do in order for us to move forward and enhance our skills, because 'di ba na-discuss natin during the presentation about the scaling and reskilling of teachers, especially now that we are in the new normal. Oo. So maraming mga bagay na dapat gawin si teacher uh, in in response to the new normal. Ayan. So, our LDM course 2 is part of the CPD, because we are going to record our experience with this, our learnings, and then how are we going to apply that one. Okay? So, the continuing professional development is important because it ensures you continue to be competent in your profession. Uh, Let us connect this one to PPST. George, during the rollout for the PPST, can you still remember why the during the rollout for PPST? Oo. The continuing professional development is greatly related to the PPST, because teachers are
Mm-mm.
expected to retire not as teacher 1, di ba?
Yes.
Oo. So dapat mag-retire sila na umangat yung position title
Mga
nila. And that
positions
can
nila.
only be yes, and that can be done by uh, achieving this continuing professional development as part in the enhancement and growth of the teacher.
The
That is
teachers.
why, mm-mm, that is why our LAC sessions are very important as part of our IPCR, not just because
Mm-mm.
for rating
Compliance.
purposes, oo, for compliance and for rating purposes, but most importantly for continuing of our acquiring of competencies that we need in our job, because it's not only the education that not only as teachers are being required of the CPD units, but all the professions are actually required by this. So this is the
Oh,
process of ensuring that we continue to be competent. Kasi baka mas magaling pa si student kaysa kay teacher.
teacher.
So, So supposedly, dapat nauuna si teacher. So, ayan, inculcation of advanced knowledge, skills, and ethical values in a post-licensure specialization or an inter or multidisciplinary field of study for assimilation into professional practice, self-directed research, and or lifelong learning. So, this is the legal basis for the for the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. There is actually a resolution between from PRC number 1032 series of 2017, implementing rules and regulations of RA 10912, ayan, which is the Republic Act number 10912 for Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. And we also have PRC number resolution number 1146 series of 2019, the new implementing rules and regulations of RA 10912. So let us discuss here the policy. The state recognizes the vital role of teachers in nation building and development through a responsible and literate citizenry. Towards this end, the state shall ensure and promote quality education by proper supervision and regulation of the licensure examination and professionalization of practice of the teaching profession. So based from that statement policy, it is now understood, it is assumed that teachers understood or understand the vital role that they are actually a part of in the nation building, in the development of a literate citizenry. So our professional regulation Professional Teachers Resolution number 11 series of 2017 stated that there should be CPD providers. In the Department of Education, we are very happy because the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, or NEA, is actually accredited as CPD providers. And our course, LDM course 2, is actually part of the program of NEA. So it is understood that after completing the course, teachers will be receiving CPD units. And those units will be utilized upon renewal of our PRC IDs and all other professional endeavors. So we have matrix of CPD activities, yung professional track, academic track, self-directed, productive scholarship, and other activities to be recommended by the CPD Council, Board, and Commission. So the maximum creditable units under self-directed or lifelong learning, and the major areas of CPD activities: ethics is 5 units, professional development is 40 units. Okay, ayan. Ito. Continuing professional development is accepted as an integral part of teacher education because only a continuing learning and training assures a high level of expertise and enables the teachers to keep their professional skills and knowledge up to date. So because of the CPD, it is expected that teachers should be up to date. That is why we need to continuously advocate implementing the learning action cell, because our learning action cell is the mechanism of upskilling and reskilling our teachers in the field or in schools, because the learning action cell is actually considered as our vehicle in keeping ourselves up to date. Oo. So CPD should not be regarded only as an obligatory activity just to meet the required 45 credit units. I think that's clear. Okay? So we have here NAYAP is a CPD provider for professional teachers since December 2017. So just like what I have mentioned a while ago, si NAYAP is a CPD provider recognized by by professional Regulations Commission by PRC since 2017. So our focal person is our director, John Arnold S. Shena. So DepEd regional offices as NAYAP extensions as CPD providers. So we have our NAYAP central office, or the DepEd central office, and then the extensions of the NAYAP are NAYAP CO, or the central office, is the DepEd regional offices. Under that is the NAYAP-R. Oo, they are extensions to CPD providers. Now, we have our PRC resolution number 1146 series of 2019, the new implementing rules and regulations of RA 10912. So covered ng new uh, covered ng new implementing rules and regulations na to are the following. OFWs are not covered by the CPD requirement. The newly licensed are not required in the first renewal cycle. So like for example, kakagraduate mo lang tapos pumasa, upon first renewal, sa first renewal cycle, hindi siya required ang CPD. And then only 15 CPD units are required for renewal unless in their respective laws, units required are specified. Because in other professions, there are cases na they require more than 15 CPD units. Okay. In-house trainings of both government and private employees shall be considered accredited and CPD compliance of employers. But we have to take note na itong mga in-house trainings, both government and private employers, will only be considered upon approval of DepEd Regional Office. And then if there is no response, after 10 days, they are considered as approved. Okay? So what are the requirements for uh, application for these in-house trainings to be given CPD units? First is the new PRC forms or completion forms, soft copies and documents required. We have the online CPD application. So that's actually still in progress. Wala pang update dyan from PRC. And then CSC Resolution number 1800923, attendance in CPD courses and renewal of PIC on official time. So kapag ka pumunta kayo ng PRC, hindi kayo pwedeng lagyan ng absent, hindi din kayo pwedeng pagbawalan na pumunta ng PRC for renewal of your professional identification card or the PIC because that's a privilege given to employees on official time. So kapag ka sinabi na on official time, no reimbursement ang ibibigay ng school for your travel, but you will not be marked absent during those time na may government, may professional transaction ka in relation to your profession. Oo. And then, new operational guidelines will soon be released. So we will just wait for these operational guidelines because there might be some changes or baka mas maganda pa yung lumabas na guidelines on how are we going to process our CPD units. Okay, so we have here the documentation for PRC CPD accreditation. Take note, meron tayong three phases. We have the pre-application, during conduct of activity, and the post application. So let's go first to the pre-application. So dapat may instructional design, dapat may specific objectives, assessment program of activities form, may evaluation tools specific for the course objectives, may program of activities showing time, duration of topics, workshop, may resume of resource persons or speakers for program applied for, showing expertise in the topics, or show certificates or citations kung meron. Meron din dapat current professional identification card ang mga speakers natin if they are registered professionals. If foreigner naman, dapat may current special temporary permit if applicable. So nobody should have an expired or expiring professional identification card on the date of conduct of the CPD activity. They should already renew if they are to be retained as speakers. So dapat maliwanag yon. Dapat walang paso na IDs prior to the conduct or during the conduct of our CPD activity. Seventh, breakdown of expenses for the conduct of the program, even if the program or activity is free of charge. And then we have the PRC application for accreditation form, 4 documentary stamps in a short brown envelope, plus a prepaid pouch, preferably from PhilPost, for applications filed in regional offices only. Now, for during conduct of activities, we have here a certificate of participation and attendance. May sample tayo dyan. And then documentation of the activity is recommended. This may form part of the completion report, which will be under the third phase, which is the post-application. So after the conduct of the program or activity, the following must be submitted. We have the completion report form with 2 documentary stamps attached, no need for notarization. List of participants, name and PRC license number, the list of lecturers or resource speakers, name and their PRC license number, the actual program of activities, the summary of evaluation of speakers in tabular form. So dapat may evaluation for speakers and evaluation for the conduct of activity. So we have here the list of documents for PRC CPD accreditation application. So all documents are placed inside a folder according to this sequence. So kapag ka sinabing according to this sequence, hindi pwedeng magkabaliktad-baliktad ang mga items na nakasulat dito. For number 1, we have the PRC application for accreditation form, instructional design. We have specific objectives assessment program of activities form, evaluation or assessment tools, the breakdown of expenses, and the resumes and professional identification cards of resource persons and speakers. So in a short brown envelope, plus a prepaid pouch again for applications filed in regional offices only. Important note, both soft and hard copies of the above mentioned documents must be submitted to PRC. Soft copies in PDF shall be saved in compact disc rewritable or the CDRW. Hard copies shall have same paper sizes. Okay, so what are, we have here the example, a folder cover. So we have Department of Education, National Educators Academy of the Philippines, school-based in-service training, for example, for K to 12 curriculum teachers. Then name ng school, division, at yung date kung kailan ninyo ginawa ang inset. Now, we have here important reminders in the submission of your CPD application. NAYAP must submit all the documents required by PRC strictly 45 days before the start of the activity. That is, if you submit the document to NAYAP Central Office. Okay? 45 days before the start of activity, dapat nandun na sa PRC if submitted to NAYAP. All documents required for PRC CPD accreditation must be submitted to NAYAP Central Office or DepEd Regional Office 60 days before the actual start of the activity. Meaning to say, si NAYAP, kung siya yung mag-transmit going to PRC, ang nire-require ni PRC, 45 days. 4-5 days before the start of the activity. But for NAYAP Central Office or DepEd Regional Office, 60 days before the actual start of the activity. Dapat 3 months before the conduct of the activity. Para safe tayo, 3 months before the conduct of the activity, dapat na-submit na kay NAYAP Central Office or DepEd Regional Office ang application natin for processing. Now, the question is, bakit ganun kaaga, sir? We have to understand that the processing sometimes may take time because of other, anong tawag doon? Other functions na ginagawa naman ng mga personnel natin from DepEd Regional Office or NAYAP Central Office, yung inherent na function niya or organic function ng mga employees. So, para safe, mga 3 months before the conduct of the activity, dapat submitted na siya. So, if applications are submitted and passed through the DepEd Regional Office, applications will be filed accordingly at the PRC, excuse me, PRC Regional Office. If additional requirements are needed, a period of 7 days is given by the Professional Regulation Commission to submit the same. Failure to comply within the period shall be construed as abandonment of application and the prescribed fees shall be forfeited in favor of the government. Oo, meron din kasi kayong babayaran dyan. So representatives filing applications for accreditation and claiming the certificate of accreditation on behalf of the applicant must present a letter of authorization and valid identification cards of both the authorized signatory and the representative. The same also if you are going to ask someone whom you trust or someone in your department or co-teacher, kung ipapakuha ninyo yung ID ninyo sa kanya, gawa po kayo ng authorization. Oo, may letter of authorization, padala niyo yung ID mo, tapos ipakita niya yung ID niya upon claiming the identification card. So the same with this, kung representative yung magfa-file in behalf of the owner or in behalf of the teacher na magfa-file ng application, dapat may written authorization letter together with your ID. So there are also list of PRC accredited CPD programs which you can check at the PRC website. So I'm just not sure if the website of the Professional Regulation Commission has been updated for this purpose. So completion report is submitted to PRC 30 days after the conduct of the CPD activity within submitted 30 days after the conduct of the CPD activity. So NAYAP Central Office or DepEd Regional Office requires its submission 15 days after the conduct of the activity to give time for checking and review of the supporting documents. If in case may kulang para makapagbigay ng deficiency letter si region or si central office for that purpose. Okay? Maliwanag ba?
Yes,
Is everything
sir.
clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes po.
Yes, very good. So now we will proceed with our professional self-assessment questionnaire. So this questionnaire should help you teachers in planning on how are you going to make your professional development plan. So this is the tool where you can assess your skills and capabilities. So we only have here 5 items. And in these 5 items, you are going to check here if you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree with the items written on this column. So first, we have, I can use the modality with ease. Personally, para sa inyo, yung modality na meron tayo ngayon, madali lang ba ninyo siyang nagagamit? Madali nyo lang ba siyang nai-employ? If your answer is strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree, dun nyo ilagay yung check mark ninyo. So for example, ako, I can use the modality with ease. Medyo kaya ko siyang gawin. So this is my personal assessment. I can confidently use the platforms in the modality. Uh, if ang modality is about uh, like what we are using now, StreamYard, I can strongly agree to this because I have been exposed to this platform since we did our rollout. I have to familiarize myself with the platform. Otherwise, I cannot stream our live discussions dito. So agree ako dito. Or kung ang platform is gamit natin, for example, Google Meet, or gamit natin Mentimeter, for example, or yung LDMs, or I mean SLMs natin. So, kaya ko ba siyang i-manage? So, strongly agree ako doon. I can use pedagogies associated with the modalities and platform. Yung mga pedagogies ba na nakasulat dito sa ating mga SLMs associated sa mga modalities na meron tayo and platform, kaya bang gamitin ni teacher? Ako personally, agree ako dito. Not strongly agree. Agree lang, okay? And then, I can very well manage my learners or class in the modality that my school has adopted. Ako, agree din ako dito. For example, I can very well engage with parents and community partners in assisting learners. So, yung sagot ninyo dito, ako for example, strongly agree ako dito ha. Oo. Sample lang naman ito. So, yan yung kinalabasan ng self-assessment questionnaire na self-assessment gamit itong tool na ito. So, pagkatapos yung gawin yung assessment na ito, punta naman tayo dito ngayon sa by the way, this is the framework. This is the framework, the process flow of NEA professional development for teachers. So we have here the professional development environment or drivers. So we have strategic alignment priorities, institutional data, emerging trends, competency assessments, research, stakeholder inputs, and curriculum requirements. Tapos, may effect siya dito sa professional development priorities map to the professional standards. So anchored siya dun sa PPST natin. So we have here the internal and external providers also and the monitoring and evaluation of data capture. Yung dito sa loob, ayan, program or course development, an example for this is the LDM course 2 ina-undergo ninyo ngayon. We have the program course evaluation and recognition. Please note that our program will be evaluated also, and that would be part of our discussion tomorrow, Wednesday. So we will go live for that purpose. And the program course and program or the course delivery. And all of those things have impact on improved teacher and school leader quality. Tapos, yung improved teacher and school leader quality naman will be manifested sa learning outcomes of learners natin and career progression, which then again will go back to our drivers. Okay? So now, let us go to our professional development priorities for teachers for school year 2020 to 2023. Teka lang ha, parang may nakalimutan akong document. Ah, parang hindi ko siya na-upload. I think you have seen the sample of our um, professional development plan. Teka lang, i-upload ko lang siya. Oo, ganito talaga pag live, nakalimutan. Okay. So we have here LDM 2, Module 4, Lesson 2. Ayan. Individual development. Mhm. Okay. So we have here the sample of individual development plan. For the individual development plan, we have the first column here as strengths. The second is developmental needs. Under the action plan recommended developmental intervention, we have the learning objectives of the professional development program and the intervention. Next is timeline. And the last one is resources needed. Now, take notice that the last column is shaded with color gray, which is the expected output. In the original document, wala siyang expected output. Nilagay ko lang siya para klaro sa inyo kung ano yung dapat output ninyo right after identifying your developmental needs. Para klaro sa inyo kung ano yung dapat na gawin ninyo for our professional development. So, for example, let us take this example from teaching competencies, which is based on our Philippine standards for professional, tama ba? Philippine professional standards for teachers. Okay? So domain number 5 example is assessment and reporting. Strengths. Monitored and evaluated learners' progress and achievement using learner attainment data. So ito yung strength ni teacher. Strength niya yung assessment and reporting. Tapos, tignan natin ngayon yung developmental needs niya. Communicate promptly and clearly the learner's needs, progress, and achievement to key stakeholders, including parents and guardians. What did you notice between the strengths and the developmental needs? Sige daw. Lobat yung laptop, saglit lang ha. Mag-isip kayo, balikan ko kayo, kunin ko lang yung charger.
Okay, sir.
Okay? Anyone who would like to share? Anong yes,
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 sir.
Pearl.
Yes, sir. I think, sir, the strength or the strength which is the monitored and evaluated learners' progress and achievement using learner
Mm-mm.
attainment data. So that would be the basis of the action of the teacher in the developmental needs. So baga, in the developmental needs, kailangan niyang to, to achieve the strengths, kailangan niyang i-comply yung nasa developmental needs, sir. So, kailangan niya ng communication promptly and clearly the
Mm-hmm.
learner's needs to parents, sir, and about their progress
Okay.
and achievement.
Sige.
So, ganun
Okay.
siya,
Thank
sir.
you, Pearl. How about others? Teacher Richelle, Teacher Angel, and Teacher Juessa later. What else did you notice between the strengths and the developmental needs? Yung strength ni teacher, for example, monitored and evaluated learners' progress. So, ibig sabihin, may data siya na nakuha or may data siya na dapat niyang i-communicate regarding sa progress and achievement ng mga bata. Tama? Oo. Yun
Yes,
yung
sir.
strength niya. Yun yung strength niya. May data siya. Pero ano yung needs niya? Kung paano daw niya i-communicate promptly and clearly the learner's needs, progress, and achievement to key stakeholders, including parents and guardians. So, para kay teacher, sa sample na to, may data ako, may kailangan akong i-present sa mga parents, sa stakeholders. Ang problema ko, hindi ko alam kung paano siya i-communicate. So yun yung developmental
Yes
needs
po.
niya. So klaro na yon. Now, ano yung learning
Yes, sir.
objectives niya in the professional development program? Ito, identify ways in presenting learners needs to key stakeholders. Kasi yun yung problema niya, 'di ba? Yun yung need na na-identify niya kung paano niya i-communicate. So dapat makahanap siya ng mga pamamaraan kung paano niya i-communicate yung ah, progress and achievement. So ano yung intervention na sinulat ni teacher? First, we have coaching. And we also have self-study. When we say coaching, kanino siya magpapa-coach?
Sa school head, sir.
Sa mga, yes,
Black
sa
leader,
mga
instructional coach.
co-teachers,
Oo. Pwedeng pwedeng
mga
oo,
expert,
pwedeng yung mga seasoned teacher nila sa school, pwedeng kay head teacher,
experience.
oo, pwedeng kay master teacher, and most importantly, dapat si school head. Oo, si school head yung mag-coach
Mm-mm.
sa kanya kung paano niya gagawin yung communication ng learners' progress and achievement. And aside from coaching, may self-study din tayo. So ano yung mga resources if sabihin natin na self-study? Of course, nandyan pwede tayong magbasa ng books on effective communication. Pwede din naman tayong mag-enroll online for free ng mga short courses
Online
on
courses.
effective communication. Oo, may mga free tayo dyan. And all other sources na pwedeng makuha ni teacher for free and online. If coaching naman, ayan, yung resources needed natin si school head. Kasi it is expected na si school head yung mag-capacitate ng lahat ng teachers. Sa mga big schools, si teacher yung instructional coach. I-capacitate niya yung mga master teachers, yung mga head teachers, yung mga seasoned teachers na identified na kayang mag-lead or yung may capacity na gumawa ng mga gawain as a leader. So yun yung i-capacitate niya. And yung mga leaders na yon, sila na ang mag-cascade going to the members para mas mabilis, maramihan, madalian at one setting. So ganun siya. So sa last column, gaya na ng sabi ko kanina, this is an additional column which I have indicated here. But in your actual individual development plan, you need not to add that column. Pero kung para sa inyo, gusto ninyong ilagay kung ano yung expected output para malinaw sa inyo at klaro sa inyo kung ano yung target ninyo na output, pwede ninyong isulat. So for coaching, we have there the expected output, slide deck preparation, for example. Ano yung slide deck preparation? Have you heard of those words?
PowerPoint, sir.
Oo.
Yes, sir. PowerPoint
Oo.
presentation. PowerPoint.
Kung gamit natin si Microsoft Office, yan yung PowerPoint presentation natin na software. Software yung PowerPoint presentation. Pero ang tawag doon sa ginawa ninyo na presentation, gamit ang
Slide deck.
PowerPoint, yun yung slide deck.
Opo.
Oo. Yung slide deck ang tawag natin doon. So, That's one of the possible expected output. Isa. Example lang kasi ito, pwede nyo pang dagdagan. Now, for self-study, we have there, prepare a simple speech or discourse paper. That's one thing. Example lang naman. Next, we have here the core behavioral competencies for DepEd. Now, bakit tayo lumipat from PPST, sir, to core behavioral competencies? Remember na itong ginawa
Sa
ninyo,
IPCR.
itong ginawa ninyo na individual development plan, naka-anchor siya sa PPST. Sa PPST for rating, yes. Pero take note na sa IPCRF natin, meron tayong part 4, which is the core behavioral competencies. Self-assessment din yon sa part 4. Dapat tignan nyo din doon kung ano yung mga core behavioral competencies na kinakailangan ninyong i-address. Not just the PPST, but as well as the core behavioral competencies na meron tayo sa part 4. Naintindihan ninyo? That is why I gave here an example ng core behavioral competencies under DepEd. I chose innovation because for me, medyo lag behind ako dito sa innovation. Example, promote a creative climate and inspired co-workers to develop original ideas or solution. Ito yung strength. Pagdating sa developmental needs, innovation particularly on conceptualizing out-of-the-box ideas approach. Kasi paminsan-minsan, naka-box in masyado yung isipan ko, ay hindi na ako makapag-isip ng mga yung tinatawag natin na out of the box. Kasi masyadong confined doon sa kung ano ang ibinigay. So yan yung developmental needs ko. So ano yung objective ko dito? I am going to determine strategies in translating creative thinking into tangible changes. Pag sinabi nating tangible, anong ibig sabihin? Something na nakikita, something na
Yes.
nahahawakan,
Nahawakan.
something that is, physical, tangible, tangible changes and solutions. Now, what is the intervention here that I have identified? Incorporate in the next in-service training, the training on conceptualization of innovative and ingenious methods and solution. So that is my suggested intervention. So ibig sabihin nito, yung school head ang isa sa mga resources na needed because this is inset. Ibig sabihin, you need to propose this one to your school head and si school head dapat i-consolidate niya kung ano yung mga core behavioral competencies na common sa mga teachers niya para magawa niya ng training activity at training or activity design. Based from the needs. Tool na kasi yung part 4 based sa needs ni teacher. Now, I forgot to discuss with you the timeline. Yung timeline, yan yung target ninyo kung kailan siya i-hit ninyo the implementation of your professional development plan. So like for example here, sa core behavioral competencies natin, February to March yung sinulat ko because that's sem break. Sem break. Parang may 2 weeks na ano dyan. May 2 week time na parang break siguro tayo. So, as based on our old normal. So, nilagay ko siya ng February to March. And of course, kapag sinabi natin na regular coaching, timeline ang nakasulat pero regular coaching siya, for me kasi kapag sinabi natin na regular coaching, constant siya. Constant siya. So hindi siya napuputol. So that's whole year round. Pwedeng ganun ang pagkasulat ninyo for that purpose. Okay? Now, let us check that one against dito sa ayan. sa PPST, yung Professional Development Priorities for Teachers natin for school year 2020 to 2023. Under domain number 1, which is content, knowledge, and pedagogy, we have here the following strands. Take note, hindi lahat ng strands ay binigyang pansin, or I mean, hindi lahat ng strands included dito sa priorities. Tingnan natin, ano yung PPST strand under domain number 1 na 1.1. For 1.1, we have here content knowledge and its application within and across curriculum areas. So balik tayo dito. 1.1. So ano yung expected na behavior ni teacher na dapat nakikita sa kanya para ma-achieve niya yung pagka-distinguished na teacher at saka pagka-highly proficient. Take note na kayo ngayon, teachers, nakakapasok lang sa DepEd or nasa mga 1 to 2 or 3 years in service, you are considered as proficient teacher. Hindi kayo beginning. Kasi yung beginning na part, nasa college yon, preparatory stages yon in becoming in your entrance or your entry to DepEd. So, proficient teacher kayo ngayon. So under this one, applying knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas, dapat nakikita sa inyo ngayon yung applying knowledge of content. Si highly proficient teacher naman, hindi na siya apply but modeling effective applications of content knowledge within and across curriculum teaching areas. And si distinguished teacher, modeling exemplary, teka lang natabunan, modeling exemplary practices to improve the applications of content knowledge within and across curriculum teaching areas. So dapat dito sa strand na ito, na content knowledge and its application within and across curriculum, kung titignan natin dito yung description ni proficient teacher, highly proficient teacher, and distinguished teacher, magkakapareho po sila. Ayan, applying knowledge, apply knowledge. We have modeling effective applications, model effective applications. Modeling exemplary practice to improve the applications of content, model exemplary practice to improve the applications of content. So kung titignan natin, binusisi ni NEAP yung ating LDM course na ito na umakma siya dito sa PPST na mga indicators. So, we can also see here the professional development continuum. Dapat si proficient teacher, dapat mag-move up siya to becoming highly proficient teacher. So under this strand, the content, knowledge, and application. The same goes with 1.4. Sa strand na 1.4. Ano yung 1.4 na strand? We have here strategies for promoting literacy and numeracy. I mean numeracy, literacy and numeracy. So if you are going to check against the PPST, the content here in our LDM na ito, na DepEd order as part of the supplementary materials for our LDM2, makikita din ninyo doon kung ano yung mga nakasulat under 1.4 na strand. Use, evaluate, model. Pagdating dito, using, evaluating, and modeling. So, they are actually fitted to each other. So, ganun yung gagawin ninyo for your professional development plan. So, dapat, itong mga nakasulat dito na mga priorities for teachers to acquire for 2020 to 2023, dapat makuha ninyo ito under domain 1, strands 1.1, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. For domain number 2, we have strands 2.1 and 2.6. Ano yung 2.1? Tingnan natin dito. Learner safety and security, and a fair learning environment. I know, 2.6 pala, no? So, dapat, eto pala, management of learner behavior. Next, we have here for domain number 3, we have strands 3.1 at saka 3.3. Ano yung 3.1? Tingnan natin. Learners' gender needs, strengths, interests, and experiences. At saka yung 3.6. Asa yung 3.6? Walang 3.6. Bakit
3.3, sir.
3.6 yung...
3.3.
3.3 pala. Sorry, my goodness. 3.3. Ayan. Learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. Can you remember that, anong module ba yon na kinakailangan yung i-identify yung learners with difficulties? Diba? Anong
3A,
module yun?
sir.
3A,
Module
yes.
3A.
Sa module
3A.
3A, you are going to
Module 3A.
identify learners with difficulties. And you are also going to identify
Yes.
interventions for the difficulties that you have identified. So that is related to this strand, learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. So, domain number 4 naman, meron pa pala 3.4 at saka 3.5. Ayan, learners in difficult circumstances because of the geographical location and learners from indigenous groups. So, yan sa 3.5. For domain number 4, curriculum and planning, we have 4.1 and 4.2. So, what is that strand? Planning and management of teaching and learning process. And we also have learning outcomes aligned with learning competencies. And we have 4.5, which is all about teaching and learning resources, including ICT, especially now in our new normal, that we really have to be equipped with ICT because as of the time being, since face-to-face interaction is not permitted, this is the only way we can communicate with our students. So that's 4.5. Now for domain number 5, 5.1 and 5.2, what is the strand? Designing, selection, organization, and utilization of assessment strategies, and monitoring and evaluation of learner progress and achievement. So that's 5.5. I mean 5. For domain 6, community linkage and professional engagement, 6.1 and 6.2. Establishment of learning environments that are responsive to community contexts, and 6.2 ba yun? Yeah, 6.2. 6.2, engagement of parents and the wider school community in the educative process, especially now in the new normal that we have learning facilitators inside the home of our children, of our learners. These facilitators could be the parents, it could also be the adults in the community, or we also have our learning facilitators designated in our districts, depende kung sino yung mga naka-identify doon. So, ganon siya. Okay? So, next, we have 6.3 and 6.4, professional ethics and school policies and procedures. Bakit nasali si school policies and procedures? Remember that we have our Project Hatud, di ba? And in our Project Hatud, we put emphasis on the safety of our teachers and learners. So, sakop or saklaw nito yung policies and procedures on how are we going to distribute and retrieve our modules. So, yan, part siya dyan. Na-comply ba natin siya? Na-exhibit ba? Or na-evaluate ba natin yung mga school policies in terms of the implementation of our programs? And next, we have domain number 7, strands 7.2 and 7.3. Ano yung 7.2? Dignity of teaching as profession and the professional links with colleagues. Remember that our learning action cell is part of the 7.3 professional links with colleagues, because you will be working together as a team in forming your different learning action cells. the implementation of your learning action cell through your breakout groups. Kaya nga may mga breakout groups tayo na naka-identify, nakasulat yung mga pangalan ninyo because those breakout groups will serve as our learning action cell. Where we can professionally share our learnings, insights, and realizations with what is happening at present. So that's 7.3. Next, we have 7.5, professional development goals. So this is now part of your professional development goals, your professional development plan. Okay? So, klaro sa inyo. Naintindihan nyo ba yung plan? Teka lang ha, nasaan na yung plan? Di ko na makita si plan. Okay. Nawala ang plan. Yung sample ng plan natin kanina.
Yung maraming marks, sir. Yung maraming circles.
Hindi ko na naman. Ayan. Ito pala.
Yan po.
Diba? Pati ako nalito. So is the sample na professional development plan maliwanag sa inyo kung ano yung dapat ipaisulat ninyo? Based also dito sa tool na gagamitin natin for, ayan, for self-assessment. So tingnan ninyo, i-check ninyo dito kung ano yung mga items na nandito against doon sa identified natin na tawag dito. Ito. Na professional development priorities for teacher. Kung saan siya nabibilang yung mga na-identify ninyo na needs. Ayan, dito yung needs. Ano yung mga strongly disagree ninyo? Like I can use pedagogies associated with the modalities and platforms. Saan nyo ba siya makikita dito sa professional development priorities for teachers?
Domain 1, sir.
Domain.
Content
knowledge.
Domain 1. Yes, ayan. So, at least you can now identify kung aling domain siya. Napakadali lang naman nun. Okay? So, kung anong domain siya makikita. Sige. Questions?
Wala po.
Wala.
Very clear, sir.
Baka hindi nyo naintindihan. My God, magsalita kayo.
Sir, may question ako, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Doon sa intervention, tsaka sa learning objectives, kami pa yung mag-compose kung ano yung ilalagay ng learning objectives doon, sir.
But if you have another way of enhancing how you are going to craft your objectives, okay lang din.
Okay.
Basta maliwanag sa inyo kung ano yung output na gagawin ninyo na dapat
Basta
makuha
yung
ninyo.
strength tsaka developmental needs, sir, mag-base talaga doon sa PPSD standards.
Oo. Now, remember, may mga possibilities na yung strength na na-identify could also be your developmental needs. Pwede ba yun?
Need lang i-enhance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oo. Pwede ba siya na yung strength ninyo pwede ding maging developmental needs? Bakit ganun? Na-strength nyo na nga siya, pero bakit naging developmental needs?
Parang
Sige daw, who
i-enhance
would like
lang,
to
sir.
expound?
Parang kulang yung ginawa mo.
Sige, Pearl, and then Richelle.
Kulang yung ginawa mo. Halimbawa, sir, yung example mo, sir. So, may data na siya sa mga learners' attainment, goals, and progress. Kaya lang, hindi niya alam kung paano i-communicate. So, yung strength niya, naging developmental
Yes,
need
very
niya.
good observation. Sometimes, si teacher, kasi personal niya yun self-assessment niya. Hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin na, huy, mali yung self-assessment mo. Self-assessment meaning, yun nga yung nakikita niya, nakakulangan niya. Ito yung nakikita niya na strength niya. So, hindi nangangahulugan na kapag ka-strength niya, automatic hindi niya magiging need. May mga cases na yung strength niya yun din yung need ni teacher. So just like our example here,
Yes.
strength na nga niya yung alam na niya kung ano yung i-communicate. Pero yung assessment and reporting is strength niya. Pero yung developmental needs niya is also part of the assessment and reporting. Yun nga lang, hindi niya alam kung paano i-communicate yung assessment ng estudyante. Oh, yung achievement. Oo, and learning progress and achievement ng estudyante. Sige, let us ask ang ato ang guest for tonight. I know marami
Yes,
itong
ma'am.
pwedeng ma-share. Yes. Yes, George, please tell us.
Yes, sir.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Yes, yes, we can
Hi
hear you
there.
loud and clear.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes, yes, continue,
sir.
George. Medyo may delay lang. Continue, we can hear you.
Okay, okay, okay. Regarding the yung the question kanina kasi yung could it be possible that the strength will be also
Mm,
our development needs. So it's really possible that we have identified some of our strength, but maybe we need to go deeper on what
yes.
specific possibilities, yes, the needs that
Mm,
may arise, although we have those strengths. So for example, kasi sa amin sa school, yung um, the assessment of the students must be communicated to parents.
mm,
We have like that through
mm.
report card, through
Yes,
the PTA
convocation.
meeting,
Mm,
the homeroom meeting. But the problem there, yes, but the problem there is the communication skills of the teacher on how she or he will be able to communicate the assessment results,
mm,
the cards. Pwede ba na how could I deliver the bad news to to the parents that these students are not really coming to school regularly or are not submitting
oo.
projects or are
Yes.
not doing well in school. So that would be
Mm,
the need
oo.
of the teacher. So it's
Yes.
really
Yes, that
possible.
is true. Because teachers are actually sometimes hesitant to inform parents, especially if the feedback is somehow on the negative side. 'Di ba? Kanang kung sa ato pa na sa atong pagkabisaya kanang
Yes.
usahay lisod isulti ang dili maayo nga feedback sa ginikanan. Oo, especially kung wala siya nagasulod like that. So, how are we
Mm-mm.
going to communicate that one to the parents? How can we break it gently to the parents kung sa kanta pa? Oo, break it to me gently.
Yes.
Mm,
And the teachers, we as teachers, we need to develop in ourselves on how to deliver good
mhm.
news and
Yes.
bad news to parents, because there are bad news that seem to be not really good, but will be something pleasing or not really that harsh to parents. It depends on how teachers deliver the news to the
Yes.
parents.
Yes. How we say it matters. Oo.
Yes,
Oo.
the
For
tone, the use of the
example, let
words.
us take this as an example. Oh, guwapa kaayo si Teacher Pearl. Oh, something like that. Pero kung yung pagkasabi is ganito, guwapa kaayo si Teacher Pearl. Oh, 'di ba?
Mm-mm.
Is the message of the things that I have mentioned a while ago, both in two different ways, magkapareho ba siya ng content? Di ba
So,
nag-differ na yung message
mm-mm.
nung pagkasabi because nag-differ na yung content ng message depende dun sa pagkasabi ni teacher. Oo. Pero makikita mo yung pagka-genuine nung
Mm-mm.
pagkasabi na gwapa kaayo si Teacher Pearl and gwapa kaayo si Teacher Pearl. O, something like that. Pearl, ikaw yung example ngayon. Okay.
I love it.
Oh, This is just an example, oo. Pero that's a good point, George. How we deliver and
Mm-mm.
how we say things really matters to our listeners and to the receiver. So that's one thing na developmental need ng
Development
teacher na
needs.
pwede niyang isulat. Yes, oo. That's good. So thank you so much for that sharing. Others, Angel, would you like to say something? Okay lang? Sige, very good. Pearl, would you like to add?
Wala na po, sir. Talagang clear na siya.
Okay.
I'm
So very
excited
good.
to do my individual development plan.
Talaga ha? Check ko yan first thing. Sige. Okay. I think meron pa ba tayong additional na hindi na-discuss? Parang lahat na cover na yata. This is lessons 1 and 2. Ano na lang, diniretso ko na siya. Hindi ko na lang siya pinutol na lesson 1 at saka lesson 2. So, basta ito yung sample natin for, ayun, nawala na naman. Yung plan natin, nawala ang plan. Hindi ko na naman makita. Ah, wala na. Ayun. Ayan.
Yun po.
Ang hirap mag-maneuver ng platform na ito. By the way, for those who are asking kung anong software yung ginamit ko dito sa presentation na ito, this one, ito, ano po yan siya?
Mm.
Class in. So, pwede nyo po siyang i-download at saka i-install for free. Oo, for free yan siya. No payment. Oo. So, pwede nyo siyang gamitin also for your online class. So, Class In ang pangalan ng
Class
software na
in.
yan. Oo,
And
Class
Sir
In.
Bert, can I add something
Yes.
regarding the
Sure,
individual
sure, sure.
plan?
Mm-mm.
It's also important that the teachers, kasi especially yung mga proficient teachers, T1 to
Mm-mm.
T3, are not really familiar with the PPST and those priority of
Mm.
for this
Mm-mm.
school year. We have, because 2000, way back 2018 up to 2020, there are priorities. But for this year, 'di ba, nasa
Different.
DO 50 na
Oo.
natin, there are
Mm-mm.
changes. So
Mm-mm.
it's also good that as teachers, we need to be familiar with the PPST and those
Yes.
core behavioral skills, kasi
Yes.
core
In
behavioral
part 4.
kasi yun ang gagamitin
Mm-mm.
natin, opo, yun ang gagamitin natin,
Mm.
yan ang struggle ng
As
mga teachers
basis
under
for the
me.
making of the individual development plan. Yes, that's good.
Oo,
Oo.
hindi nila
Continue,
alam kung
George.
saan nila kukunin. Say for example, the teaching
Ah,
competencies. Si teaching competencies,
okay.
andun makikita nila sa ah, yung the pedagogy, ah,
Mm-mm.
yung sa content, while ang core behavior yung sa innovation na, yung sa
Yes. Yes.
yung mga part 2 natin na ano,
Behavioral.
part 2
Mm.
natin, oo, yun ang struggle ng mga teachers. Pagkatapos, the moment that
Okay.
they, oo, the moment that na, "Hala, saan 'to kukunin? Where should we get
Oo,
the
oo.
data that we need
Mm.
to input under strength?"
Mm-mm.
So, as
Mm.
teachers, we need to go over, or we need to familiarize ourselves with the parts of our IPCRF, the
Yes, correct.
PPST, oo, and the
Mm-mm.
teaching competencies and the core behavioral skills.
Yes, that's good. Thank you so much, George, for pointing out that one. I was thinking that
Mm,
teachers already know kung asa nila huguton ang katong
yeah.
core behavioral competencies and the teaching competencies na dapat baseline nila in the making of the individual development plan. Because in our
Mm-mm.
rollout before sa PPST, first step in the cycle of the RPMS is the self-assessment tool. Ayan, nawala bigla si George. Medyo mahina na siguro yung connection nila sa Matanaw. Remember na yung pinaka-first pinaka-first step na gagawin ni teacher in the performance cycle is the self-assessment tool. Everything na
Mm.
gagawin ni teacher across the entire school year will emanate from the self-assessment tool, result from the self-assessment tool. Because from there, gagawa siya ng plan kung paano niya i-improve yung competencies niya and kung paano niya ita-target yung enhancement ng skills niya in the long in the along the implementation along the performance cycle. So, yung self-assessment is yung pinaka first step in the performance cycle. So, that's very important na dapat after your IPCR na rating sa previous school year, tingnan ninyo yung part 4 ng core behavioral competencies ninyo. Kunin nyo doon kung ano yung kailangan ninyong developmental needs or
Develop.
development needs. Oo, i-identify ninyo kung ano yung pinaka-priority ninyo na i-address as part of your professional development plan. And as well as doon sa result ng assessment ninyo with the self-assessment using yung pinakita natin kanina na tool which is anchored naman with PPST. So para ito si PPST at saka ito si core behavioral
Mm.
competence. Oo, kuha kayo kay core behavioral competencies nung development needs ninyo at saka ito din kunin niyo sa core behavioral competencies ninyo. Yun yung isusulat ninyo na nakapaloob dapat sa professional development plan ninyo. Ayan. In that manner and in that way, you will enhance and will move on eventually to being a highly proficient na teacher. So, ganun siya dapat. Mm. So, klaro? Tama ba yung explanation ko, George?
Yes. Well said.
Oo. Baka may ma-miss ako kasi hindi ako masyadong familiar na with the teaching field. Oh, magkaiba na yung perspective ngayon. So medyo I have to study
Tama,
again
George.
in order to understand. Ayan. So Teachers Pearl, Richelle, and Angel, maliwanag ba yung pinagsasabi namin dito ni Teacher Josh, Juesa?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Dahil dyan,
Claro.
palakpakan ninyo ang mga sarili ninyo. Ayan.
Hi, sir. I'd like to clarify, sir, or ask.
Yes.
So the IDP or Individual Development Plan is in Activity 1, Lesson 2, sir. So in Activity 2, we have the Professional Development Discussion Template. So these learning objectives of the PD program in our IDP, we will write or we will just copy this in our PD discussion template, sir.
Yes, because you are going to share your plan with your colleagues, right? On how are you going to target or how are you going to hit kung paano nyo papaluin yung developmental needs ninyo para ma-achieve ninyo yung desired or expected output ninyo.
Yes.
Para from there, yung co-teachers ninyo can also benchmark na, ay, pwede di ay po ko, ana, sundugo na ko siya.
Yes,
Di
and we
ba?
will also decide the specific topics that we will conduct in our slacks or lacks
Mm,
po.
Because you might have the same concern, you might have the same developmental need. So at least kayong dalawa, pwede kayong mag-usap, like pag-usapan ninyo, ay ganito gawin natin, mag-collaborate tayo, o di ba? Mag-collab tayo dito para makuha natin yung output, expected and desired output. So ganun siya.
Okay,
Yes, very
sir.
good. Some more questions? Ayan. Wala na ba?
Wala na, sir. Clear na po.
No more,
Sige. So,
sir.
oo. So, if you have no more questions, teachers, I hope our live viewers will also be able to understand our discussion tonight. And again, if you have questions, just comment down in the comment section yung mga questions ninyo. We are now on our fourth module 4 na tayo na supplementary video. Pero wala pa akong nakikitang questions sa comment section ng ating Facebook page. or even in our YouTube na ano na page. So I think that's a good sign. Siguro naintindihan talaga ng mga teachers yung mga pinagsasabi natin dito. Oo. I hope ganun yung interpretation. Oo. But if you have questions, again, please do not hesitate and do not be afraid to ask questions because we are here to guide you and to provide technical assistance and to clear mga gray areas in your mind. Maningkamot gud pod ni og answer para sa inyo ha. Ayan. So,
Yes.
tonight we have a very fruitful discussion and wonderful sharing. Thank you so much teachers and most especially to our special guest from Matanao National High School, Senior High School teacher Joessa. Maraming maraming
Ay,
Thank you
salamat.
thank you
po.
so
And
much.
yes, yes, thank you so much for the time. Even if it's very, very short notice, no? The notice is very, very short. But you said yes.
Just this
You said yes. I
evening.
know. Yes, I know you will always say yes. Oo, ganyan si George. Palaban always. Thank you so much again. And of course, to our regular LDM sessionistas. Teacher Pearl,
Bye.
Teacher Richelle, and Teacher Angel. I am
Thank you,
very happy to
sir.
have you always because hindi kayo nagre-reklamo kahit this is beyond office hours and I am taking your time, personal time during the night time, but you always say yes in order to give services to our co-teachers. So again, maraming 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 salamat sa inyo. And si Teacher
Thank you,
Jason na
sir.
hindi na nakapasok, oo, thank you so much. And of course, kanina si Sir Kirk andito din pero due to internet connectivity
Yes.
issues, medyo nagkakaproblema din tayo sa access niya
Mm.
dito sa stream. So, ayan, nahihirapan sa pagpasok. But tomorrow, we will be going live during daytime in the afternoon. I hope all of us can enter our stream para ma-address natin yung mga live mga questions live. So tomorrow, we we will be answering live questions because we will be streaming our feed live via our LDM Course 2 for Teachers private group and at the same time here in our YouTube na channel. So, if you have questions, clarifications, and any confusions regarding the LDM Course 2, we can address that one tomorrow and you can air that one tomorrow. Okay? So again, hindi ako magsasawang magsabi ng maraming maraming salamat sa inyo guys for being here tonight again. So maraming maraming salamat. So again, ito si Sir Bobert ninyo at ang inyong utusan. And I will be I am more than willing to help all of you. So, wag lang po kayong mahiyang magtanong. O, wag mahihiyang magtanong sa LDM course 2 natin. Dili na ako ipadayon og kanta kay basig maguba inyong gabi. Thank you so much. Oh, sikreto kay mo nangatawag.
Okay.
Thank you. George, salamat jud kaayo.
Salamat po and you're welcome
Bye-bye.
always. Bye-bye.